Before we dive into one of the bloodiest conflicts in American history, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful history stories. Now, let's travel back to 1861, when a nation began tearing itself apart. The United States was divided. The North and South stood on opposite sides of a deep moral line, slavery. In the South, enslaved African Americans worked endless hours in cotton fields, powering the economy through forced labor. Every new state that joined the Union reignited one burning question: would slavery spread or stop? By the 1850s, the debate had become violent. The unity of the United States was crumbling before the world's eyes. Then came the breaking point: Abraham Lincoln's election in 1860. Lincoln opposed the expansion of slavery. To the South, his victory was a direct threat to their way of life. Within weeks, 11 Southern states seceded, forming the Confederate States of America. They appointed Jefferson Davis as their president and began preparing for war. April 12, 1861, Confederate cannons opened fire on Fort Sumter. The Civil War begins. President Lincoln vows to preserve the Union, no matter the cost. The North prepares for a long struggle. The South, led by strong generals and fierce pride, fights for independence and survival. What followed was 4 years of unimaginable bloodshed, America's deadliest war. At first, Confederate forces won key battles, led by brilliant commanders like Robert E. Lee. But the Union had more men, more factories, and the industrial power to outlast the South. Northern railroads and industries became the backbone of Lincoln's war machine. At Bull Run, the first major battle, both sides learned that this war would be far from easy. Fields turned red. Thousands lay dead or wounded. The war would drag on for years. The Union planned to choke the South, cutting off trade and control of the Mississippi River. Naval blockades strangled southern ports, crippling their economy and hope for victory. As the war raged, enslaved people risked everything to escape behind Union lines toward freedom. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing enslaved people in the rebel states. The war's purpose changed. It wasn't just about the Union anymore. It was about human freedom. Then came Gettysburg, the most famous and deadly battle of the war. Over 50,000 men fell in just 3 days. It was the turning point. The South's advance was broken. At the Gettysburg Cemetery, Lincoln delivered words that would echo forever: a new birth of freedom. But the war dragged on, and soldiers on both sides grew weary, hungry, and heartbroken. Civilians suffered too. Towns burned, families starved, and the South began to collapse. In 1864, Union General William Sherman began his brutal march to the sea, burning everything in his path. Cities fell, railroads were destroyed, and the Confederacy's will to fight began to die. By 1865, Robert E. Lee's army was cornered, exhausted, starving, and outnumbered. On April 9, 1865, Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse. The Civil War was over. Weapons were laid down. The Union had survived, but at an unbearable cost. 4 million enslaved African Americans were free. The United States entered a new dawn. Lincoln dreamed of rebuilding a united nation, but fate had other plans. Just 5 days after victory, Lincoln was assassinated at Ford's Theater. The nation mourned deeply. The man who saved the Union would not live to see its healing. Reconstruction began, an attempt to rebuild the South and secure freedom for all citizens. But racism and violence quickly rose, showing that true equality was still far away. The scars of the Civil War ran deep and shaped the nation for generations to come. From ash and ruin, the United States slowly rebuilt, determined to move forward. Memorials rose to honor those who fought and fell, Union and Confederate alike. The Civil War redefined freedom, democracy, and what it meant to be United States. Out of destruction came rebirth, a nation forever changed but still standing tall. Lincoln's words live on, that this nation shall have a new birth of freedom. Years later, former enemies shook hands, proof that healing, though painful, was possible. Today, the Civil War is taught not just as history, but as a lesson in division and unity. Arlington Cemetery stands as a silent reminder of the cost of freedom. The Civil War was not just a battle for land. It was a battle for the soul of America. If you believe history should never be forgotten, Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the past. History lives when we remember it.